On January 11, 2026, Iran is engulfed in its largest anti-government protests since 2022. The streets of Tehran and other major cities are filled with the voices of thousands, echoing a deep sense of frustration and hope. This movement, which began as a response to a devastating economic collapse, has quickly grown into something much larger and more powerful. What started as outrage over rising prices, unemployment, and a plummeting currency has become a direct challenge to the theocratic regime that has ruled Iran for decades. Protesters are no longer just demanding economic relief, they are calling for fundamental political change, risking their safety to make their voices heard. Demonstrations have erupted across Tehran, Mashhad, Rasht, Shiraz, and beyond, uniting Iranians from all walks of life: students, workers, women, and even some former regime loyalists. The scale and diversity of these protests are unprecedented, showing a rare sense of national unity in the face of adversity. The memory of last year's war with Israel and the US lingers in the background, casting a long shadow over the nation. Many Iranians are still grappling with the trauma of conflict, and the scars of war are visible in both the people and the city streets. This sense of crisis has only deepened the resolve of those demanding change. The government now faces pressure from both external enemies and its own people demanding change. Security forces have responded with force, but the determination of the protesters remains unshaken. Each confrontation only seems to strengthen their resolve, as calls for justice and freedom grow louder. This is more than a protest over policy. It's a reckoning with years of hardship, repression, and broken promises. For many, it is a fight for dignity and a demand for a new future, one where their voices matter and their rights are respected. The world watches as Iran stands at a crossroads, its fate uncertain. The outcome of these protests could reshape not only the future of Iran, but also the balance of power in the region. As the days unfold, the hopes and fears of millions hang in the balance. The spark for these protests was a catastrophic economic collapse, but the roots of the unrest run much deeper. For years, Iranians have faced mounting hardships, but recent events pushed them past a breaking point. The streets, once filled with daily life, have become battlegrounds for a population desperate for change. The Iranian rial has plummeted to over 1.4 million per US dollar, a staggering drop that has wiped out the life savings of countless families. Every day, the value of money shrinks, making even basic necessities unaffordable for ordinary people. The cost of living has soared, and many can no longer afford rent, food, or medicine. Soaring inflation, combined with harsh international sanctions, has left families struggling to survive. Grocery store shelves are often empty, and the price of bread and medicine has skyrocketed. Parents worry about how to feed their children, and the sick are left without access to vital treatments. Many Iranians blame not just foreign pressure, but also years of government mismanagement and deep-rooted corruption. They see officials living comfortably while ordinary people suffer. News of embezzlement and abuse of power has fueled public anger, making trust in the authorities almost impossible. Shopkeepers can't set prices as the currency fluctuates wildly. Salaries lose value overnight, and even the most educated youth, university graduates and skilled workers, find themselves without jobs or hope for the future. Businesses close, and entire neighborhoods are left in economic despair. What began as desperate pleas for economic relief quickly grew into a nationwide movement. As the government failed to respond, frustration turned into anger, and anger into open defiance. The protests spread from city to city, uniting people from all walks of life. When survival is at stake, people are willing to take risks they never imagined. Iranians are now demanding not just economic change, but a new system, one that offers dignity, justice, and a future for the next generation. The movement has brought together the young and old, men and women, in a rare show of unity. The unrest has become a direct challenge to the regime's legitimacy. For many, this is no longer just about the economy. It's about reclaiming their rights, their voices, and their future. Protests have spread nationwide, from Mashhad to Tabriz to Shiraz, transcending regional and ethnic lines. Slogans have shifted from economic grievances to calls for the end of the theocracy. Protesters now use mobile, unpredictable tactics, flash mobs, banging pots, and fireworks to evade security forces. Videos show both peaceful marches and fierce clashes, inspiring others despite the risks. the government faces a legitimacy crisis, as a new generation demands fundamental change. The movement's resilience is tested daily against state power. The outcome remains uncertain as unrest continues to evolve. The crackdown has been deadly. Over 500 protesters killed, including children, according to rights groups. More than 10,000 have been arrested, including journalists and activists. Families often have no news of detained loved ones. State media reports over 100 security personnel killed, revealing the intensity of clashes. Conflicting reports and internet blackouts make the true toll unclear. Each casualty deepens the nation's wounds and hardens resolve on both sides. The violence is escalating, making peaceful resolution more elusive. Iran is paying a heavy price for its unrest. The government's response is uncompromising, labeling protesters as rioters and blaming foreign enemies. President Pezeshkian, once seen as a reformer, now backs a hardline crackdown. Security forces use tear gas, batons, and live ammunition to disperse crowds. The legal system threatens severe charges, even death, for those arrested. Dialogue is off the table. The regime prioritizes survival over reform. The state's message dissent will be crushed at any cost. The IRGC leads the crackdown, treating protests as a grave security threat. Leaders blame the unrest on U.S. and Israeli conspiracies, stripping the movement of its local roots. Parliament threatens retaliation against foreign intervention, escalating tensions. The IRGC's loyalty is to the supreme leader, not the people, and they control vast economic and military power. Their involvement ensures the confrontation will be bloody and uncompromising. The regime is willing to escalate both at home and abroad to maintain control. The government has imposed a near-total internet blackout, isolating protesters and hampering organization. This digital siege allows authorities to operate with impunity and control the narrative. Journalists and rights groups struggle to verify reports as information trickles out via satellite links. Protesters risk their lives to share videos, countering state propaganda. The blackout is both a tactical and psychological blow, leaving many feeling abandoned. Despite this, activists find creative ways to communicate and resist. The fight for information is now as crucial as the fight on the streets. Digital repression is a new front in Iran's struggle for change. The world is watching. U.S. President Trump and Israeli leaders openly support the protesters. Washington considers cyber attacks and military options, putting regional forces on alert. Tehran sees this as proof of a foreign plot, fueling anti-Western rhetoric. Iranian officials threaten retaliation against U.S. bases and Israel if attacked. The risk of regional conflict grows as international powers take sides. Calls for peace, like those from the Vatican, are drowned out by threats. The crisis is now entangled in global power politics. Ordinary Iranians are caught in the crossfire of both domestic and international battles. Daily life in Iran is fraught with fear and uncertainty. As night falls, the streets transform into tense corridors, blocked by police checkpoints and echoing with the wail of sirens. The presence of emergency vehicles and flashing lights is a constant reminder of the unrest simmering just beneath the surface. For many, simply venturing outside after dark feels like a risk too great to take. Families huddle together in their homes, peering anxiously through curtains, hoping the turmoil will pass them by. The once vibrant neighborhoods now fall silent at dusk, as parents urge their children to stay inside, away from the dangers lurking beyond their doors. The economic crisis has deepened, forcing people to make impossible choices every day. Grocery store shelves are often bare, and the prices of basic necessities have skyrocketed. Many families struggle to afford food, medicine, and other essentials, as incomes dwindle and jobs disappear. The stress of survival weighs heavily on everyone, from young children to the elderly. On top of these hardships, the government's internet blackout has cut off families from the outside world and crippled businesses that rely on digital connections. Students are unable to attend online classes, and shop owners watch helplessly as their livelihoods slip away with every hour of lost connectivity. Protesters, determined to make their voices heard, risk arrest or worse. They communicate in hushed tones, always wary of informants and ever-present surveillance cameras. Organizing even the smallest demonstration requires secrecy and courage, as the threat of violence or imprisonment looms over every gathering. Yet, despite the risks, many, especially the youth, are driven by hope for a better future. They share dreams of freedom and reform, quietly supporting one another and refusing to let fear extinguish their aspirations. Their resilience is a testament to the enduring spirit of those longing for change. Others, however, are haunted by memories of chaos and war in neighboring Syria and Iraq. Fearing that protests could spiral into violence, they choose to stay home, watching the news with anxious eyes and hoping for stability above all else. The nation is deeply divided. Some demand sweeping change, believing it is the only path forward, while others fear the unknown consequences that such upheaval might bring. This tension plays out in every neighborhood, on every street, and within every family. Every day is a struggle for survival and a test of resolve. In the face of adversity, Iranians continue to persevere, holding on to hope, clinging to loved ones, and searching for moments of normalcy in a world turned upside down. The opposition is diverse: monarchists, secular Democrats, ethnic minorities, and disillusioned reformists. There's no single leader or unified vision, making the movement resilient but fragmented. Some look to exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, but his support is uncertain. Many young Iranians use old symbols to reject the current regime, not to restore the monarchy. The movement's challenge is to unite these voices and present a clear alternative. The government exploits divisions, painting all dissent as foreign-backed or violent. The future depends on whether the opposition can build a broad, inclusive coalition. Iran stands at a crossroads. Brutal repression may restore order, but grievances will persist. Escalation could lead to civil conflict or even regional war, with foreign powers already involved. A peaceful transition would require a dramatic shift from the regime, which seems unlikely. The protesters' courage is clear, but the state's resolve is formidable. The economic crisis and international pressure show no sign of easing. The coming months will decide whether Iran finds a path to reform or descends into deeper chaos. For now, the struggle for dignity and change continues. The world waits to see what future Iranians will choose.